Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Ohio train series. Now you might be confused why I'm showing pictures of a ship, but this was the first thing before we would go to the first place, which is Fostoria, and the only place we would go. This is the Colonel James M. Schoonmaker, and it's a really cool ship that you can tour. This is not the only ship in the video, but let's get right into the trains. Alright, we're at Fostoria. First train of the day. Maybe it's a heritage unit, but we're not sure. Let's see. First train of the day. Believe is an intermodal. Yeah, it is. This intermodal was led by your typical CSX power. However, there was a YN2 in second. YN2s are always nice to see. However, wasn't leading. However, we would see a few instances this video of them leading.
Alright, looks like it's cutting straight across here.
The next clip after this one is another train really that would pass. Thankfully, the double stack containers were completely passed. It wasn't the end of the train, but there was just some regular well cars before it would end, and you can see the power of it pretty good. So I'll come back when that next train is here.
I think I heard one behind us earlier, so we're gonna see if that will ever show up. Oh, there's some old Sealand cars there. I say he is going slow. Really slow. Man, this train is slow. I honestly stop recording. I don't think there's going to be anything too special. I don't think there's going to be a DPU or anything, but yeah, I'm not seeing the end. It's moving really slow, so yeah, on to the next train.
Well,
our next train, this thing is still...
I was wrong. Of course, as mentioned before, there was a train that went past. You can see there is some standard well cars. Also, we got a CSX CN, well, two CN SD70M-2s. Surprised to see these things, but you can see the train is clear as the power approaches. Actually, I don't think it would have mattered because it was on this track. We got a regular GEVO and then the two SD70Ms. I tried to look into that little sticker in the front nose of the last unit. I didn't know what it was for, so we'll come back onto the next train.
couple more packmen to go by. And we're good. Here comes the end.
Next train is a loaded grain train. Not sure the symbol on this one, but I'm pretty sure it probably came out of the mill that's in Fostoria. This mill would have very big significance later, but this train, I believe, is, well, it's an empty or loaded grain train, I'm not sure. It might be potash, actually. I'm not exactly sure on it, but there was only one engine leading this, so there wasn't anything too special about it. So, yep, on to the next train. Next train was a BNSF, or actually CSX YN2 leading a rock train. Interesting locomotive. Sadly, we can't really see it too well. Funny enough, we would see this locomotive later in the video leading the exact same train around the exact same track. So,
see right there.
We didn't get great video, but I was still happy to see it.
Probably not gonna wait too long for this thing because
I didn't record this too long,
say
as I said.
Manifest dirt rock train or something. So, yeah.
The next train here is a oil train led by a BNSF Gevo and Dash 9. And the weird thing is that the horn was actually really weird. So take a listen. I think the reason why the horn was so weird is because one of the chimes wasn't blowing, or maybe one of the chimes was halfway blowing and it wasn't blowing very well, or maybe one of the chimes had a leak or something. I'm not exactly sure.
Tall one. Oh, he's going fast.
Alright, got a ditch laid out. No, he's not.
This train here is a auto rack. This thing took forever to go around. The cut that I have is 8 minutes and 30 seconds of what I have put in. I did hear another horn though while this was rounding the bend. Unfortunately, it went around the one of the transfer tracks that goes around the where that rock train was, or what we saw earlier, around that transfer. However, this auto rack train is very long, very slow, has a DPU in the middle. I think I'm gonna just kind of tell you a little bit more about what we will see in this video. We would see 3 heritage units this part, and 2 more ships after this, technically 4, along with a couple other like cool little engines. Actually, maybe 2 or 3 of those, I'm not sure, but yeah, so stick around for this video because there's a lot of cool stuff in it. So yeah.
compared to the last one.
Now, as you can see, here is a coal train. This coal train actually kind of set us up for a couple events that would happen after this. First is, since this train had to cross the diamond, another train actually had to stop down there near the Norfolk Southern side. That train being Norfolk Southern 55M, which ended up today having the Pennsylvania Heritage Unit on it. Norfolk Southern 8102. However, this train also held out one more train, which I believe is a local, heading out of the yard and clearing the diamond, and I believe switching over a track in front of the 55M and blocked it from leaving the yard. So I was able to get a couple different pictures of that. Pennsylvania sitting by the yard. The power ended up for this second train, the one that has to go in front of the Pennsylvania, ended up stopping or waiting for around an hour to 2 hours before leaving the yard. So as this coal train is clearing up, there's a lot of dust flying off of this thing after the coal loads went down the diamond. You can see a lot of dust down there. Most of that is coal dust. It's very dry. You can see there's a trash train down there. That was the train right here when the auto rack went by. See, there's a DPU. Anyway, here comes the end of the train with a really weird sight on the end. A gondola filled with, I believe, ties. So, on to the next train. So here's the train that has to go in front of the Pennsylvania Heritage Unit. If you look just between the signal there, you can see the headlights of it. I believe this train has to divert in front of the Pennsylvania to go by. I knew that the Heritage Unit was coming, so I decided to come down today. I was gonna go down the next day, but I decided to go down today because there was actually supposed to be 3 that went by. One went by when we were there. The other one went shortly by after we weren't there. So it's kind of a bummer, but this was the only moving Heritage Unit that we would see this day. The other one being Virginian, which I don't have a picture of, but it was sitting under an overpass. So, enjoy this train with a pretty fresh leader on it, along with a ridiculous amount of coil cars. I think this train was mostly made up of coils. There's a few little hoppers, tank cars, and box cars in there, but mostly it was coil cars. here comes the Pennsylvania Heritage Unit, 8102, absolutely hauling up the line after he passed, heading into the mill. I'll tell you a little bit more afterward, but can let you guys listen. If you couldn't hear, the locomotives are in notch 8 moving this train into the mill. The mill is like not that far away. You can actually see it from the rail fan area. But this would be the last train we see today. But this wouldn't be the last train in the video. But there's still yet 2 more Heritage units we need to see and a couple other special engines. So now let's wait for this train to pass and go on to the second part of this part of the Ohio series. Now on to the next day, where we see an AC-44 C6M leading an auto wreck. There wasn't anything too special on this train, but it was still nice to see. Just to tell you about the future, we would see 2 Heritage units this day, and most of the trains we would see are Norfolk Southern. So that is kind of sad, but I guess you can take what you get. Here I have a ACC. We have a runner. That's the 70 ACE duo. I've never seen an ACC relating before, so this train is especially cool. Here we have a GE duo pulling an oil train. It's kind of a unique horn on it. Two AC-44 C6Ms. But you can see the leader is newer. And it's still pretty shiny, so...
I think I hear the other one.
As mentioned earlier, we would see this rock train again. The rock train that takes the farthest back Y, with all those hoppers. Most of them were blue. There's a few other colors. I didn't take the entire thing because the train really wasn't that interesting. However, it did have the same exact power as the one the day before did. So that was kind of interesting.
Yippee! Another YN2.
Here we see a YN2 and a Tier 4 Gevo leading a manifest train. Leading, of course, is CSX 491. I love the YN2s. The horn on this one is especially cool. Take a listen.
Beer market area, let's go.
Here, of course, is Heritage Unit 1 of this day. On a oil train, if I remember correctly, this train symbol is B778 or B778. Pretty sure that's what it is. But only thing too interesting on this train was the Pure Marquette leading. Also, it's kind of weird that there was a hopper car as a buffer car in front, and there's a gondola in the back as the buffer car. I've never really seen that before. Usually they're hoppers or box cars, but never or rarely anything else than that.
Whoa! Illinois Terminal, whoa!
Expecting another CSX train, I was way on the other side of the park when I would see the Illinois Terminal Heritage Unit for the second time this trip. Sadly, it wasn't leading, but still a nice sight to see for sure. To give a little more context on the last day here, we would head towards Cleveland. In Cleveland, they have a museum ship, the William G. Mather. It's a very interesting ship. It's quite a decent sized ship, and it's really nicely kept up. There you can see a picture of it. The next thing we would go to is Conneaut, Ohio, where the Roger Blau is. That was the main reason why we went. You can see there's the Roger Blau. Roger Blau was put out of service in 2021 due to a fire at Green Bay, Wisconsin. However, on their way there, I turned my head to see a nickel plate Berkshire. So I looked down there and we found a nice rail fanning spot. Where right out in the beginning we see two intermodal trains absolutely hauling by through Conneaut. Both the power on both trains were GEVOs, but they were moving fast. It would be a little bit, around 15 minutes before we would see the next train, where we would also get to go around and check inside the museum there. Really beautifully restored station. The last moving train of the video is very interesting. We'll check that out here in a couple minutes. This train had a ever rare flared Mac. Very cool to end up the trip. I didn't film the entire thing, but we would see no more trains there. Flared Mac was the last moving train. However, I did get a couple pictures of the mighty nickel plate Berkshire there. Absolute beautifully restored. The number on this one is 755. Beautiful machine to end off our video. Thank you guys for watching.